Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of WAKO Kickboxing Talks. Today, our guest is Mr. Rashad Eugene. He's a five-time senior world championship in martial arts. He has excelled in musical weapons, creative forms, and creative weapons, which makes a big impact in the martial arts world. So, welcome, Mr. Rashad. It's very nice to have you here today.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course, anytime. So, for starters, can you share with us your journey in martial arts? What's it been like achieving five senior world championships, excelling in two musical forms, two creative forms, and as I said, one creative weapon?
Excelling in those categories for WAKO, never in my mind that I thought I was gonna win. Well, never thought I would actually compete on a world class stage. If you know what I mean. I've been looking at WAKO little by little since the start of 2016, actually. And from then on, I just always try to figure out how to get on the WAKO team, how to get on the USA WAKO team, how to go to these WAKO tournaments without knowing what WAKO really is. So, but it was just like a slow process. It's like only a boy can dream. And next thing you know, there I was in 2021, my first ever WAKO World Championships, or my first ever WAKO tournament ever.
Mm.
Going to the World Championships due to difficult times at the time, and it's just been surreal at that point, knowing what I was getting myself into, not getting my feet wet per se beforehand, and just going for it. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And as we all know, the scream you do during your performances is very memorable and iconic, I should say. So, how did you practice that? Was it like difficult in the beginning or?
In the very beginning, I mean, I didn't have a problem with it as a 9-year-old kid starting in the martial arts. I come from a Japanese stylist, Shotokan, that transitioned to other arts that introduced me into musical forms and all that good categories in the United States. But I didn't have a problem with it. I kind of had a problem because I was 9 and I had a squeaky voice, so it sounded pretty weird. So it just but other than that, it just came natural to me. When my instructor told me we had the kia there, that's what it's pretty much a kia at a certain move. I just did it and then I just stuck with it. Now adapting to what we usually do in the open sports circuit, I just watched my other competitors how they would yell or how they would kia, and pretty much I just went with the flow of it without practice ish per se, but I just went with the flow with it, and then it just became a part of me in my form.
So basically, it came naturally to you.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the world of musical forms? What disciplines are involved and what are the differences between them?
So here in the United States, we have the popular ones. I will say, like, we call it CMX, Creative Musical Extreme. So for the adult division, we have creative bladed weapons, creative non-bladed weapons, musical weapons, and extreme weapons. Bladed and non-bladed speaks for itself. Only bladed weapons, only non-bladed weapons, and you cannot invert your body, if that makes sense. When if you want to go for like a no hand cartwheel or even a cartwheel for that, you cannot do that in that division. For extreme weapons, you have to do an inversion. For musical weapons, they kind of changed the rule on this one, but you have to do it. Anything goes, but I will say I think 75% has to be an inversion. Before you could you used to do a traditional form to music. Now they changed that rule.
Mm.
So that's the difference between in the CMX category. So same thing for forms as well. So for open hand forms, you cannot do an inversion creative. You have to do an inversion in extreme. You can do whatever you want, but 75% has to be at least fast paced with an inversion for musical. And then traditional speaks for itself. No inversion, traditional movements, traditional katas and stuff like that.
Yeah, the impressive explanation. And also, besides the musical forms, you also compete in point fighting, especially in the States. How does that complement your training in your other areas of fighting?
I look at it as a full body workout, if that makes sense. So when I'm training, I was trained as a color belt. I was trained to do all types of categories. Even if there was a category for self defense, I could actually do that because my background is self defense. That's where I got my black belt under. We just love going to tournaments. So I just adapted like the point fighting style, point fighting drills into my musical forms, musical weapons training, and just building that off. I do compete in the United States as well. I just love to fight as well.
Yeah.
So, and I also try to fight in WAKO as well, just to see how it is. And I actually enjoy that more than fighting here in the United States.
And other than kickboxing, I heard you have some other hobbies, such as like working on a cruise. Can you tell us more about that and more about your personal life?
Well, technically, that's not a hobby. That's actually my job. So, right now I'm on medical leave. So I'm back here in Miami for temporarily. I'll be back on the ship. I actually started working for Royal Caribbean Cruise Line this early this year in March, early March. And from then on, I've been at the rehearsal studios. Surprisingly, it was in Miami. And we transitioned to living on the ship for the last 3 months. Like I said, I'm back here in Miami, but I'll be back on the ship soon. And then my contract ends in December living on the cruise ship. So I actually do the I'm actually a main performer for the Aqua show of Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas. And that's what they hired me to do as a martial artist because they needed a martial artist with 19 other cast members that are dancers, synchro swimmers, high divers, regular divers, and slackliners. The show is really amazing, to be honest with you, and I'm grateful for that opportunity as well.
Yeah, that's very impressive. And let's go back to kickboxing for a second. Um, what would you say are the reasons that you've made it this far in your career? Who was the biggest influence? What was your biggest motivation? And what made you go here, like up the ladder?
Mainly the top competitors from the United States, like Remy Daniels, other top competitors that I'm trying to think on the top of my head as far as going to the world championships. And even the current championships like Bailey Murphy, Ty Saint, Devin Hopper, Kevin Walker, just to name a few pretty much, that helped me motivate me to go to these type of tournaments. Even just going there as a forms and weapons competitors because I know what they're gonna bring to the play. So I gotta step up my game in my category as well. So being a part of Team USA with those guys and with a couple of others, it was just a great opportunity and it helped me stay motivated to actually go for the gold in those categories.
Yeah. And if you could give one advice to a young athlete who wants to be as big as you are in the kickboxing world, what would you say to them?
We all love to win. We all have one agenda as far as winning gold. We don't like getting silver. We don't like getting bronze. Some people settle for that, but me personally, that's different. But regardless, win, lose, or draw, always have fun. Because
Mm,
if you're not having fun, why are you still doing this? Why are you doing this at all? Because I get it. We are we are we are competitive. We are very competitive. We have one agenda to win gold. But regardless, always have fun.
yeah, so
That's would be my advice.
yeah, exactly. My last question would be, do you have any final thoughts? But I assume that that would be like the biggest thing. Just have fun and go out there.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much, Rashad, for this interview. We are very happy to have you here, and we hope to speak to you again sometime soon.
Awesome. Again, thank you for the opportunity. I'm truly grateful for it.
Thank you. Okay, see you. And thank you so much for the viewers at home watching. See you in the next episode.